Hi everyone. So what is the truth about the truth community? This is a video that I'm prepared to be attacked for because this seems to be what happens when people call out certain parts of the truth movement. This is not an attack on the truth movement. This is pointing out some things that I've noticed, and I think it's important to recognise them. So one of the biggest criticisms of the truth movement by mainstream society is they say it's a cult. You'll hear this a lot. These people are in a cult. And that triggered me a lot when I first started to awaken, because I thought, no, it's the other way around. It's an inversion. Society is the one that's in a cult because they blindly follow without question, and any dissenter is attacked. All of the classic characteristics. And if you Google what a cult is and how it works and its criteria, you will realise that every one of those things is ticked when you look at mainstream society, okay? So I thought, no, that's the cult. And then when I started doing some inner work and expanding my awareness a bit more and starting to listen to how I felt within about things, I started to observe things rather than get drawn into them and think about them too much. I was noticing things, tendencies within the truth movement that were reminiscent of what I was seeing in mainstream society. And what I see is that there are certain individuals that have positioned themselves as gurus, let's call them, okay? And then you've got these little minions, these sheep blindly following everything that they say, every word. And then you've got this weird attacking and smearing going on, where anyone that has a slightly different view within the truth movement, whether it's more optimistic, whether it's just a slightly different view on things, they are called a shill, okay? This is a very common word that you'll hear. They're called a shill. Or say someone originally fell for what happened in the last few years, for example, and they're starting to awaken now. These people are called shills, okay? Or controlled opposition. That's the other one you need to look out for. And it's bizarre. And then you see everyone else saying, yeah, they're controlled opposition. It's the same smearing technique that is used by the mainstream media, the governments, the establishment to shut down any other opinion. It's happening in the truth community. Look at it. Zoom out and have a look at it. The second thing that I noticed is that, and I've mentioned this a bit before in past videos, but the cult of society is driven by a narrative of fear. It's always coming from a place of fear, and you've just got this continuous fear-based narrative coming out from the media, whether it's war, whether it's to do with pandemics, whatever. Continuous, whether it's the cost of living. It's keeping people in a permanent state of fear. And then what do you see in the truth movement? A fear-based, by and large, a fear-based narrative. Okay? It really is. I mean, it's apocalyptic what some people are saying. And I just don't feel that personally. And I've said about this before, I don't feel that. But it's very interesting how people have not made any progress, because for me, this is all about frequency. And people have gone from a low vibrational state in society, they've come out of that cult and they've gone straight into another one, because cults run on fear-based narratives. And I'm not saying that what they're saying isn't true. I think a lot of it is, but they're not aware of the cult-like tendencies that are taking place, and it is obvious when you look at it. And I'm not saying that the truth community is a cult as a whole. I think there are small cults within it, lots of different ones. And the whole point of awakening is thinking for yourself, and people aren't. They're going on these Telegram groups or following these channels or subscribing to certain people, and they're believing every word they say, and they're not critically thinking. It's extraordinary. And the last thing I'd like to say is that, and this is possibly the most staggering of all, there's certain people who've been awake for quite some time. Okay, through the whole of the last 2 years, they saw it from the start. And I'm just observing this on Twitter. There are people that I've followed for a while who I know have been awake since the start. I wasn't awake since the start. I woke up it was well over a year into what happened over the last few years with the COVID. Well over a year in. But I was staggered the other day when I saw someone who's been awake for a while citing there's a British cardiologist who's been speaking out about the things in the arm and is calling for their suspension. And he was originally very pro these things. And he was calling for people to get them and encouraging people to get them. And I saw this guy who's been awake for quite a while. He tagged this cardiologist and said, please don't, something along the lines of, please don't think this guy is a hero. He pushed the things in the first place. And I'm seeing a lot of this. And I thought, what are you doing? Don't we want people to wake up? Isn't this the whole point? Why are people attacking people for changing their minds and seeing the light? And I'm seeing this so much. And I hate to say it, but the conclusion that I've come to is that a lot of people are in their ego. And I think there's a lot of people who've quite enjoyed the fact that they have been in a sort of an elite group of people who've been able to see through the bullshit. And they've quite enjoyed the fact that they're superior to everyone else who's in a coma and are completely brainwashed. And I think they've quite relished in that. And they don't like the fact that people are now seeing the truth. If this is triggering you, that people are waking up, I'm afraid, I think you need to go and have a bit of a look at yourself and recalibrate, because we need as many people as possible to see what's going on. And if you're going to shout at them and have a go at them for having a view before which was a brainwashed view, and now they've started to do their own research and had a wake-up call, if you're going to attack these people, it's not going to encourage others to wake up as well. So that's another thing I've noticed. So the truth community is brilliant because it's needed. It's a great stepping stone in the awakening process. But it can be a very toxic place. And I know that for a fact, because there are people now who I followed on Twitter who were instrumental in my awakening process, who are still pumping out the same information they were a year and a half ago. And they've not moved on. So it's very interesting. And we need to try and encourage people to start questioning a bit more and carry on digging down, because there's so much more to find out. So there you go. That is what I think is going on in the truth community. And it may have shocked you to hear some of this, but I think you need to do what I've done and take a step back and just observe what's happening, because it is quite obvious that there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of deception.